there are some stories that refuse to die. No matter how much time passes, no matter how modern the world becomes, certain legends continue to haunt people in quiet moments. Walking home alone, waiting at a train station after dark, turning a corner and seeing someone standing perfectly still. In Japan, one legend has terrified generations for decades. A woman in a surgical mask, long dark hair, a sharp object hidden in her hand, and one simple question: am I beautiful? This is the story of the slit-mouthed woman, also known as Kuchisake-onna, and depending on who you ask, she may still be wandering the streets of Japan tonight. But before that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more stories. The legend of the slit-mouthed woman became massively popular in Japan during the late 1970s. At the time, rumors spread so aggressively that schools reportedly warned children not to walk home alone. Parents became terrified. Some students traveled in groups for safety. Police even increased patrols in certain areas because panic had become so widespread. Imagine that for a second. An urban legend becoming so powerful that people started treating it like a real threat. But what exactly made this story so horrifying? Well, it starts innocently enough. According to the legend, the slit-mouthed woman appears as a normal woman wearing a mask. In Japan, surgical masks are common, especially during flu season, so at first, she doesn't seem unusual. She approaches someone walking alone, usually at night. Then she asks, "Watashi, kirei? Am I beautiful?" If the person says no, she kills them immediately. But if they say yes, she slowly removes her mask, and underneath is a mouth sliced from ear to ear, a grotesque, bloody smile carved across her face. Then she asks a second question: how about now? And this is where the terror really begins, because according to the legend, there is no correct answer. If you scream or say no, she attacks you with scissors or a knife. If you say yes, she slices your mouth open so you can look just like her. Either way, you lose. And that feeling, being trapped with no escape, is one reason this legend became so unforgettable. But where did the story come from? Like many urban legends, there are dozens of versions. One of the oldest tells of a beautiful woman living hundreds of years ago during the Heian period of Japan. She was incredibly vain and obsessed with her appearance. Some stories say she was the wife of a samurai. Others say she was unfaithful. When her husband discovered this betrayal, he became enraged and punished her in the cruelest way imaginable. He sliced her mouth open from ear to ear and screamed, "Who will think you're beautiful now?" After her death, her spirit returned, seeking revenge against the living, especially against anyone who judges beauty. Over time, the story evolved from ancient ghost tale into modern urban horror. The samurai became less important, the surgical mask became iconic, and the slit-mouthed woman transformed into something uniquely terrifying, a ghost perfectly adapted to modern society. What makes the legend especially disturbing is how detailed the rules became. People claimed there were ways to survive an encounter. For example, some said you could confuse her by giving an ambiguous answer. Instead of saying yes or no, you respond with something like, "You look average." Apparently, this causes her to pause long enough for you to escape. Others claimed she could be distracted with hard candy, specifically a candy called Beko-ame. Some versions say throwing money or candy at her allows you to run away while she collects it. And then there are the even stranger stories. Some people believed she could only travel short distances. Others said she could appear instantly in front of you, no matter how fast you ran. One version even claimed she carried giant scissors capable of making a slicing sound that echoed through empty streets at night. Imagine hearing that sound behind you and realizing someone is following. The timing of the legend's explosion in the 1970s is also fascinating. Japan was changing rapidly after World War II. Cities were becoming more crowded, technology was advancing, traditional folklore was colliding with modern urban life, and the slit-mouthed woman fit perfectly into that anxiety. She looked ordinary enough to blend into a crowd. That's what made her different from classic monsters. She wasn't some giant creature hiding in the woods. She could be anyone. The woman walking toward you on a quiet sidewalk. The stranger standing under fluorescent lights. The person wearing a mask on the train. The horror came from uncertainty. And honestly, that's often scarier than monsters we can clearly see. What's even more interesting is how the legend spread before the internet existed. Children passed the story to each other in classrooms. Rumors moved from city to city by word of mouth. Newspapers began reporting on the panic. Television amplified it further. And suddenly an entire country was talking about one terrifying woman. Today, urban legends spread online in seconds. But back then, fear traveled person to person, which somehow makes it feel more real, more personal, like something whispered directly into your ear. Over the years, the slit-mouthed woman became deeply embedded in Japanese pop culture. She appeared in movies, manga, anime, video games, and horror collections. Some depictions portray her as pure evil. Others present her as tragic, a victim transformed into a monster through cruelty and trauma. And that duality is part of why the legend survives. Because beneath the horror, there's something deeply human hidden inside the story. Fear of disfigurement, fear of rejection, fear of beauty fading, fear of strangers, fear of answering the wrong way in a situation you can't escape. The slit-mouthed woman isn't just scary because of how she looks. She's scary because she forces people into impossible choices. There's also something psychologically unsettling about the mask itself. Masks are supposed to protect us, to hide illness, to create safety. But in this legend, the mask conceals something horrifying, and once it comes off, it's too late. That image became even more eerie in recent years, when masks became common around the world. For many people, the legend suddenly felt strangely modern again, a decades-old ghost story returning to relevance. And despite being an old urban legend, sightings still get reported from time to time, usually online. Someone claims they saw a woman behaving strangely. Someone hears rumors from a friend. A blurry photo appears. Most are obviously fake, but that's how legends survive. Not through proof, through possibility. Because late at night, when streets are empty and your imagination starts working against you, even impossible stories begin to feel believable, especially when they start with such a simple question. Am I beautiful? So if you ever find yourself walking alone at night in Japan, and you see a woman wearing a surgical mask standing silently in your path, maybe don't answer too quickly, because according to the legend, your response might be the last thing you ever say. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the darkest legends from around the world. And remember, if you ever hear something walking behind you, don't turn around.